Well, just to add a little more fuel to the fire regarding my last video, which was pretty much slammed by those of the libertarian persuasion. And that's fine, you know, it's it's all in the interest of free speech, and I have nothing against it. I will not delete any comments, and even though I disagree, that's all fine. It's all fine. So let me read you an article today from the Juno Empire. This is a publication coming from Louisiana. And in my estimation, probably Louisiana is one of the most corrupt states in the Union. Probably a close second to Alabama. But let's just go on. Basically, the oil crisis calls for leadership, they say, not for protection of oil interests. Now, this is pretty funny coming from a state legislature which has always been for the oil interests, but on both sides of the political spectrum. This includes Democrats as well as Republicans. So there isn't really any difference there. But wow, now actual people in that state are getting mightily pissed off because their livelihood is being threatened. The Gulf is threatened. You have basically a huge environmental catastrophe with no end in sight, and yeah, people are going to get pissed off. And Ron Paul and Rand Paul think the solution to this problem is the protection of private property. In other words, the protection of companies such like BP, Exxon, and Chevron. That's their answer. Now, mind you, I will not stop here, because my criticism also includes the Obama administration as well, because they're basically wishy-washy about everything. They just want to play both sides, you see. So what better way to do it than just to stay silent for a month, not do anything, not give actual scientists and engineers access to BP operations, and then send your administrative folks down to Louisiana, EPA folks, you know, who haven't been overseeing anything in the first place, in order to assess the situation. So basically, how much more idiotic can it get? And you're damn right people in this country are angry. I'm angry too. I'm just as angry as the people in Louisiana, only they have been duped by their own state government, just like all of us have, basically. This is much bigger. This corruption is much bigger than just the federal government. It goes down to the state level. It goes down to everything. It goes down to city councils in every county. Why do you think California is in such a mess? Why do you think things are happening in Arizona to cause this huge kind of resentment against other human beings when they're basically just humans also? And this entire resentment thing that's being brought up now. And you don't think there is an agenda behind this? You know, anybody who thinks that there is even a huge difference anymore between the Republicans and the Democrats really needs to see a shrink. The differences here are merely cosmetic. And Ron Paul and Rand Paul aren't the answer either, because this goes towards the kind of 19th century individualism which cannot function in a global society. You can have, you can eliminate all federal government, for heaven's sake, but you still cannot deal with your own state's problems on that level because it's gone too far. So there needs to be a gradual cutback. And you know, I don't have an answer for this. A violent revolution in this country is not going to work. Who do you think that's going to serve? You can have all your guns and ammunition at home and all the stuff. It's all nice and fine. Do you think a government which you think is all oppressive is just simply going to tolerate this little revolution from below? What do you think happens when the Pentagon hires private mercenaries to do their bidding? Or do you actually believe that Blackwater, or now called XE, is going to be your friend when it comes down to it? Think about these things, people, because violence is not the answer. In fact, violence is what the elites want. They want this to happen. They want to foster resentment amongst ordinary people, and they're achieving it. Because everybody is being pushed into a corner, and everybody is just going to look out for themselves, and the spirit of community, you know, falls by the wayside once that happens, because you're at that point in survival mode. That's not exactly the way to build communities or some sort of massive movement, because you're going to be completely on your own and isolated. We need to build movements, and as usual, you know, that's going to take time. It always takes time to resist this pressure from above in non-violent ways. And we all need to scale back on our consumption. I mean, that's a given, okay? We don't need the latest iPod. We don't need the latest computer, the latest technology, the latest SUV, the latest everything, when people around the world basically don't have enough to eat, okay? And I'm not some bleeding heart liberal here. I'm just saying the contrast of people who have nothing and people who still have something, namely us, is getting wider and wider, and that's not a good thing. And I sure as hell don't want to be on the side of the elites who are going to suppress both the middle class, not to mention you know, everybody who is dirt poor already, because that's precisely what they're going to try to do.